I think it's just because they have young people in there, and young people are like, oh, the best, who like buy the drinks, and the young people are like, the best drinks are Great Northern and Resch's Pilsner.
Yeah, you'll grow up.
Yeah.
You know, you'll grow up one day and realise, don't try to impress your mates by choking down something that like seems like an old mate at the pub might like. You don't have to drink Resch's. You don't have to drink Great Northerns, VBs.
No.
Tuies. I guess nobody thinks it's cool to drink Tuies, I'll be honest with you. Haven't seen that in a while. Just realise you can be your true self. Drink a 7% IPA that tastes like a glass full of coins.
Yep. A glass full of coins with some mandarin shoved in there.
With a mandarin or some other tropical fruit. Bit of mango vibe. It's fine. You can do that.
Very quick note up top. Thank you to everyone who put themselves forward to be our producer.
Yeah.
I would say we were overwhelmed.
We were overwhelmed by the response.
And we will get back to everyone this week. But thank you all for applying to I didn't think, I'm going to be honest, a woeful, meandering 1 minute at the very end of an episode.
Yeah. I think, to me, it says something about the job market. It says something about the dire job market that people heard that.
And there's so many talented people as well. I know.
Yeah, exactly. But the volume of inquiries we got was shocking. And I've actually forwarded it to the RBA and said, you guys should be looking into this. Okay. For our for our free episode, we're going to return to the world of Apple.
Yep.
We haven't talked about Apple in a little while. There's a few things in the air. And I do think they are one of the more interesting companies at the moment.
There's some interesting things that you should look like. It'll make you think,
watch and learn what Apple are up to, because they are running a different race to much of the tech industry right now. You'll notice they're certainly not in the cluster of people who are building an insane amount of data center infrastructure.
No.
They're not doing a massive build out. They're doing what they've always done, but is that the right move? Well,
they're also one of the few companies where profits are rolling in from AI. And we'll get to that.
We'll get to that. Yeah, exactly. In a slightly counterintuitive way.
Episode 2.
We're talking about Neom.
Hell yeah. Fantastic article from the FT.
A great article on the current status of Saudi Arabia's futuristic cyberpunk city, which we've talked about in the past.
Yeah, it was, again, I feel like it was like maybe first 10 to 15 episodes. We had a big Neom.
We had a big Neom write-up. We've got an update on that. And you know what? I've got some interesting views and perspectives to litigate on Saudi Arabia and what they're up to. I find them very intriguing. Anyway, so if you're not a subscriber to Down Around Premium, before we get into Apple, don't walk to downaround.net and sign up so you have a seamless experience to hear about what the Saudi Arabian state is up to after you've heard about Apple.
Okay, let's talk about Apple. Ever heard of them? So, Apple really do be selling iPhones.
I agree. Apple do be selling iPhones.
So numbers are good. Numbers are strong. Obviously, broader context with Apple is that I think universally understood to be way behind on AI.
Yes, I mean we've hammered this.
We've litigated this, but like if you're new to the pod or whatever, Siri sucks. I think it's fair to say. Or Siri has lagged behind all of its competitors. The AI features, which it highly touted for the iPhone 16, were nothing burgers, and to the point where they're being sued in various class actions because it was ages ago now. It was like, was it 2 years ago or 18 months ago?
Yeah.
When they announced the Apple Intelligence, and in the marketing they were like, we've said this before. You could do things like, my mum's coming in to the airport. What time's my mum coming into the airport and book a restaurant on the way back from picking her up from the restaurant?
It was something like that.
Things like this, which they obviously can't do.
In retrospect, crazy thing to promise, because no one has actually done
No
that.
one's close to it.
Nobody has done anything around like being able to, on the fly, synthesize data from a whole bunch of different points.
Yeah.
It's the kind of
and then action them.
It's the perennial promise. Everyone is kind of like gesturing at it, but you will note no one is promising it anymore.
No.
And Apple went a bit over their skis in promising it. They had the ad with the actress from The Last of Us. They had a whole big ad campaign that they literally had to pull from YouTube.
Yeah.
That's nuts.
Yeah. Because they overpromised.
And it's happened a couple of times in the past. The classic one with Apple was when they promised they were building a big charger.
Yeah, a universal charger could charge everything.
Exactly. A big mat, a big flat mat that you could put your phone and your watch and your AirPods on.
Anywhere on the mat.
And it would charge. And then they learned that is against the laws of physics.
Yeah.
To do that without causing a massive overheating problem, which is what happened. And they pulled that product completely after announcing it. Doesn't happen all that often, but, when you're a $4 trillion business.
Anyway, point being, yes, we know they're way behind on AI. They weren't on it. They weren't in it subtle ways. I think that they've actually, some of the AI stuff that they have incorporated over the years before the OpenAI ChatGPT boom are fine, like being able to analyze images, and so you can search for cat in your photos library and it'll show you pictures of cat. Anyway, whatever. We've been here before.
Yeah, exactly.
But they're not like LLM. They don't have a good LLM. They don't have they're not advanced AI. They don't have any huge AI talent. When the AI stuff started popping off, in fact, people were poaching from them.
Yeah, no, I mean, this is the big thing. There was a period there especially with Meta. Apple have had a large machine learning, artificial intelligence team for a long time. John Giannandrea, who's an ex-Googler, runs their AI efforts. But when Meta was on that massive poaching spree, they just kept taking the last remaining Apple people, basically. Yeah. There was a story in Bloomberg or Wall Street Journal every other week where it was Apple's recently appointed new head of models just got poached to go work for Meta, which was probably, these were probably 9-figure deals.
Yeah, yeah.
No, these were, 100 million plus comp programs stealing from Apple.
Yeah. Anyway, we only relitigate the Apple stuff, and the Apple's I'd say they're tough times in AI. To say that said, recent earnings have come through. As I said, they're selling a lot of iPhones, in particular the iPhone Pro.
Yeah, the iPhone Pro is going really well. I know there's the classic thing that the iPhone is kind of a solved problem. There's no big reason to update between models generally. They made it orange. I wonder how much of them made it. We speculated at the time, people do like new looks.
And we talked about conspicuous consumption. That was the term we used.
And I see the orange iPhone around a lot. I see people on the train with it and, in meetings.
And it does, as well, I'm sure there's other factors at play. Complex geopolitical things that we can't, no one human can possibly fathom. Also, upgrade cycle stuff. There might be some upgrade cycle stuff, some tariff stuff, this, that, and the other. Regardless, they're selling shitloads of iPhones again. And it's been actually a bit of a bump, in particular in the Pro. Not the Air, which is disappointing, because I think the Air looks kind of fire.
Yeah, someone at work had a iPhone Air, and
you picked it in the hand. It feels so
cool.
good.
It feels cool. It looks cool. Good. It's it's interesting. Pretty obvious that they're gonna that'll be most likely some form factor for a normal iPhone going forward. I feel like they're gonna try to make them that thin in the future. Johnny Ive might be gone from Apple, but
they still love making things thin.
There's still a North Star thing of how thin can we make this shit before it starts becoming as it did with the phone. There have been multiple instances where Apple made something too thin.
Yeah, and it pissed people off.
And it became a worse product as a result.
Keyboards.
The keyboard was the big one, the butterfly keyboard, where it was just literally... And I knew it from the moment I even used one of those laptops. I was like, this does not feel good.
And then there was whatever it was, Bendgate. Was it iPhone 14 or 13 or something like that? Remember they bend in the pocket or whatever?
Yeah, 16 maybe. Yeah. It's a delicate balance. People like thin stuff.
I like thin stuff, man. Thin stuff is great.
It's the future.
That's why I picked up the iPhone Air and I was like, ooh.
If you can cram as much shit into an extremely thin, it's the opposite. I know they're going to come out with a foldable phone, I think next year.
Yeah, that's the rumor.
The reporting is that next year they're coming out with a foldable, which is, to me, there's two ways you go. Two roads diverged in a wood. You either do a foldable or something that's weird and funky, something that's people look at and go, wow, that looks different to stuff other people have, therefore I want it. Or can we shave another 8 millimeters off this thing, off this sucker?
Yeah, for sure. So anyway, point being, they're still selling phones, and this is the kind of theme I think of this episode. They still be doing, because the other big one is that they recently announced earnings. That's why we have all this information, by the way.
Yeah.
Tim Cook spoke about how App Store revenue from generative AI apps in 2024 was, 2024 annual or whatever, was $90 billion.
Yeah.
And in 2025, it's like 160, $170 billion.
Yeah.
And it's worth remembering that they're not talking about, obviously, Apple apps here.
No.
But they are talking about shaving 30% off that.
Well, because here's the dirty secret. Apple have this unbelievable advantage that they locked in from the day one of the App Store 15 years ago, or more than 15 years ago now, 16 years ago. This is the thing that Mark Zuckerberg's been complaining about forever. Everyone's been complaining about. The Apple tax. It doesn't matter what the trend is. If it's software and it runs on an iPhone,
Yeah.
people are going to want a native app eventually.
Whatever the revenue is,
And you can...
Apple are taking between 15 and 30% of all of it.
Yeah, exactly. Like, you can sign up for ChatGPT
via
iOS subscriptions.
Yeah.
All of them you can. I think you can for Gemini. Maybe I'm wrong on that one. But I'm pretty sure you can for Claude. Like all the weird third-party ones like Poe, you can definitely sign up for Poe on iOS, and there's a million weird interfaces, including just like random ones you've never heard of. They're literally, all they're doing is running an OpenAI API through like a weird front end, and then trying to do some like App Store SEO theatrics to catch people who search ChatGPT or search AI.
Yeah, exactly.
They're
or Nano Banana or whatever. It's in the image world or whatever.
Yeah. They're clipping the ticket. They're getting... So it doesn't... Apple are in a very, very... they have an exorbitant privilege, which is what they say about the United States having the reserve currency. I think it's the same thing.
I like it, yeah.
I think it's the best comparison, where it's like, doesn't matter what the US does, there's going to be money flowing in because people need to have dollars.
Yeah.
They need US dollars to engage in global trade.
And this is like, it doesn't matter what the software paradigm is, it needs to be run on a phone, of which in the developed world, most people have an iPhone. So it doesn't matter what the hell, how involved or not the people who make the iPhone are, they're still going to clip the ticket.
Yeah.
And a huge percentage of it.
And the people who spend the tech. So, like...
Doesn't matter if they miss the boat by years or decades. They're like, doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. We're still... As you said, what was it, like $180 billion of revenue.
Yeah.
You calculate that down. Obviously, it's not 30% every time they have...
it's between 15 and 30.
Between 15 and 30%. But still...
It's we're talking a decent number for people who couldn't work out the technology.
The labor for like what Apple are doing. They're releasing more phones. They're selling more phones. They have guys that are doing checking apps that get uploaded to the App Store.
Yeah, I guess they're to a certain extent maybe moderating the comments.
They're moderating the comments to make sure no one's leaving racial remarks in the reviews, which I assume is automated. But crucially, what they're not doing is building fucking data centers all over Middle America.
No, I'm spending like significant amounts of R&D on whatever that particular app's function is.
To be clear, I'm sure they are building some. I don't know what their current...
Well, at the moment, allegedly, like all the data centers are running whatever, like M3 Max. They're running their own chips in these data centers. But this is and we'll get to this in a minute, actually, what's kind of interesting with the next step. But finish the thought. Well, it's like they don't have to make any of the investment that anyone else is making, and they can still take a huge percentage of the upside.
Exactly. I think that's the big point is there, and it's obviously it's all forward momentum from the fact that they were dominant in the last era of tech, which was like the mobile era.
Yeah, exactly. The argument, that's reasonable argument is they made the investments in R&D and innovation or whatever back in the day, and this is just them basically monetizing the IP that they created. The other side of the argument is like, this is highly stifling innovation and, in fact, suppressing various business models by basically making like the table stakes to play is that you need to give up 15 to 30% of your revenue of every incremental dollar that you earn on this, burgeoning technology to someone who basically doesn't give a fuck and has no investment in the technology itself, or in you being great, other than like, as long as revenue continues to be made, they will clip the ticket.
Yep.
Which, like, it is what it is, folks.
It is what it is.
Like, you can fight it out in court, lawyers. This is why this is it's always been a highly pro-lawyer podcast.
Exactly. If they're doing well, we're all doing well. Because it means they're writing out contracts.
Exactly. They're going bankrupt, also great.
That's good. It clears out, you burn out the kindling, whatever. But, it is interesting. Again, missed the boat. Their execution has been poor. They're still profiting. And, you look at and we've talked about it many, many times in the podcast, all these people that are trying to think, what comes after the iPhone? Is it AR glasses? Is it VR? Is it whatever the hell OpenAI is building with Johnny Ive?
Yeah.
This, which we don't know what it is. It could be like a desk thing or a pendant. I don't know. The more I think about it, I'm like, I just don't think they're fucking getting there.
I know.
Like,
yeah.
The fucking, in the same way that it's like, at some point you bought a computer.
Yep.
Your family
Our
bought
family bought a computer.
I
vaguely remember it.
In the 1980s or 1990s, probably the 90s, but maybe the 80s if you're ahead of the curve, or the 70s if like you were really ahead of the curve.
Yeah.
You bought
For
a
us,
computer.
it was the 90s.
You bought a computer. Since then, you've never not had a computer.
Yeah.
I'm sure there are some people who run their whole life off iPhones.
Yeah, that's true, and especially in different countries and stuff.
Totally.
But for the most part, if you had a computer in the 90s, you probably still have a computer.
You probably
now.
still have a computer. You got a laptop. Maybe you have a desktop. And you probably have that safety blanket of like, I've got to have in the same way as like, I know people make fun of like the millennial thing where it's like, if I'm making a big purchase, I can't do it on a phone.
Yeah.
I can't book a holiday. I can't like buy something that costs a few $1,000s.
Yeah, I got to see.
I got to pull out the MacBook and I got to have a big screen and a keyboard and I got to think about it.
It's the same principles we were talking about. Like if you're having a serious conversation, you have to have the phone to the ear.
Phone to the ear. You're not doing it with AirPods. You're not doing it on speakerphone. It's to the ear and you're pacing.
Absolutely.
You can't imagine like being told that a relative has passed away, but you've got your AirPods in. No, it's to the ear, and you're very serious about it. But the point is that like for people that were locked in and had a computer back in the 1990s, you've never given it up. I feel like there might be something there with the smartphone as well.
Yeah.
Like
it's going to be a long time.
It's actually hard for me to imagine a world where it's like I don't need this anymore.
Yeah.
But sure, I can think about maybe augmenting with. Again, I've said it time and time again. I cannot see myself using smart glasses unless there's a leap.
Every time a new one comes out with a hot new technology, I get caught up in the moment and I'm like, yes.
You get swept up.
I'm like, I want them. And then sanity prevails and like, in the fullness of time after that, the adrenaline is kind of worn off.
Yep.
And a few days go past and I really think about it. I'm like, why the fuck would... Like I can't do it.
Yeah.
I don't need these. I don't want these. I love them as a concept.
Yep.
Let alone then, because this is the idea, right? In the abstract, it's like, cool, smart glasses. I still think that's the most obvious thing.
Yeah.
Okay, so I keep my phone in my pocket, but I've got smart glasses, and they've got my camera for me, which is one major use for my phone or whatever. Now I've got augmented reality, so it's giving me my kind of updates or whatever. But I'm no longer kind of going to actively lean forward, search for content, because it's always kind of, I can chat to them with my voice or maybe with like my fingers, I suppose, in my pockets or whatever, as with the Meta ones. But also it's a lot more like, it kind of knows what I want, what I want more. It's more like proactive in like searching for things and telling me about my calendar and telling me like my notifications, and I can kind of, it's going to kind of guess what I want to say. This is like obviously dream world I'm talking about. Like I'm like, let's project ourselves forwards. How do we get to the end of the phone? And more, the actual phone itself is abstracted away. We've talked about kind of generative UI and how like instead of, notifications pop up and it's suggesting responses to you, so you don't need to input it with a keyboard and this kind of stuff. As I say it, obviously I'm thinking like, But, assume. Just go with me on this.
Yeah.
generative UI. So like, calendar things are popping up being like, someone's just invited you to, a meeting invite at this time, but you have something else on. Should we suggest a different date? Yeah. And you just kind of thumbs upping and thumbs downing, and things are kind of happening. You don't actually need to get your phone out, is where I'm at. Like, that's the idea, right? And so that, to the point where in 10, 12, 13, 15 years, you're like, oh, I don't actually get my phone out at all. So I just need the glasses. That sounds fantastical.
Yeah. No, I agree. Again, everything we use right now, as we said, computer, your laptop, and your desktop computer are identifiably the same thing people were using in the 1970s when, the Apple II or whatever came out.
If what I said were to come to pass, it's a world where right now we wouldn't be using laptops anymore.
Yeah.
It's like the same thing where it's like, we still need laptops.
Yeah, we still
do.
If
you want to do whatever, our type of work, I suppose, you need a laptop.
Yeah, you need
simple as that. A phone is not good enough.
If you have a white collar job, you're not doing it on a phone. You need a computer you can sit down in front of.
So yes, I totally agree that I see the same thing for the phone and like
and again, it's the same form factor as the original mobile phones, and then which are built off the fucking Alexander Graham Bell telephone, which has been a thing for well over 100 years. It's all identifiably the same stuff.
Yeah,
and we're still using it. The smartphone, you can draw a fucking Gantt chart. Maybe not a Gantt chart. I don't think that's the best way to illustrate what I'm talking about. But, a timeline.
Yep.
Being like, all right, you got the telephone, you got the fucking rotary phone, goes to like a digital phone. There's probably some bits in between. Mobile phone, same thing, but mobile. Or like maybe the car phone is in there.
Yeah.
There's a car phone in there.
Car phone.
And then you've got
underrated phone.
Then you've got the Nokia N-Gage.
Yep. That's a sick phone.
And then the Motorola Razr maybe.
Yeah.
Or like flip phones and such. And then you have BlackBerry, you got iPhone.
Yeah. You could, if you really wanted to be like dope with it, is real nice with it. Is remember the Matrix, like press the button on the side and it flips up, like it slide.
Oh, it's like yeah. I had one of those. I had a slidey one.
I mean, the Matrix really popularized those phones that seemingly were also only sold for around 9 months.
Yeah. And like, what was it, like the hip something? Hip.
God, we sometimes do this. We go on like reminiscing about like various different mobile phones. Sorry to all the Zoomers.
It's good, and there was a time of flourishing.
Yeah.
Where there were ideas.
As you say, it was a Cambrian explosion.
And then everyone was like, actually, rectangle piece of glass.
Anyway, yes.
Don't get silly with it. Just make it skinnier.
Point is, the point of what I assume this whole diatribe is that like Apple has still got some room to take their 15 to 30.
Got exactly. Let's be clear. I think we can say with complete clarity at this point that the Vision Pro was like a failure.
Yeah.
It just completely. It wasn't right. Like, amazing piece of technology, really cool. I used one and I was like, this is great.
Yeah.
Like, in the abstract.
Yeah.
But no, it's very clear. It seems like almost...
VR is a bust. I'm sorry.
I've actually not heard anyone at all, even just like on X or something, talk about using the Vision Pro.
No.
It just doesn't come up.
It seems like very occasionally someone will be like, I saw someone on a plane wearing one and like...
And that's the one use case.
That's the one use case.
To my mind, I'm still like, I could see myself getting into that.
Yeah.
I'm on a long flight.
Yeah.
I put it on, I watch some movies, whatever.
I sit back and just get, cool.
I hang out. I watch fucking Walking with Dinosaurs.
Yeah, it's easier than having your arms a little cramped up on it.
Or one of the 3 NBA games over the past 4 years that they've made compatible with it or whatever.
Yeah.
But it's a failure. And it does sound like, and it seems, all the reporting seems to suggest that internally they have no idea what the fuck they're doing with it. They canceled.
Well, they just they released a new version that's got like the upgraded chip in it. But that's basically it. And they basically didn't talk about it.
Yeah, which is exactly. They put the new chip in it, no other upgrades, and just it was sort of.
It had a slightly new head strap as well.
Yeah, that's right.
That was the extent.
And it was on the website, and it sounds like there must have been a bit of internal panic about the Meta glasses stuff, and it seems like they're investing in that.
Yeah,
but also, and to be clear, as I've said in the podcast before, the form factor of like you are sitting down in a heavily content consumption environment with like a Vision Pro or whatever,
yeah,
can't be shared with anyone in the vicinity, And they tried to fix that with the weird eyes and whatever. At least to make it like you don't have to be totally shut off from the world.
Yeah.
That's the only way they could think about the interaction.
But even that, it's like, how much more expensive did the weird eyes on the front that were supposed to reflect like how opaque this thing you're watching is, like how much did that cost? I mean, don't get me wrong, again, they just went for, we've talked about this a bunch, they just went for like the most beautiful design they could possibly imagine, and like and design thinking, right? Like the solution there, the problem was there, how can people who see you in this with this thing strapped to your face know if you can see them or not? We'll put
giant eyes on
a fake version of your own eyes reflecting as to whether you can see or not.
Yeah.
Like, talk about over design.
It's big brain stuff. And like, you just know there are like weird human interface people at Apple who had very philosophical thoughts about this.
Absolutely. And someone was like, could we just have like a green light?
It just shows that, red light if it's filming.
Yeah, exactly. And then green light if they can see, and like, orange if they can't or something. It's like, well, how will people know?
Yeah, exactly.
If I don't know, if someone's skateboarding down the street, how will I know if they can see? Anyway,
my point. I mean, and they're obviously working on AR stuff as well, and I'm sure we'll see that over the coming years. But I mean, my big thing is that for VR to actually be a mass market product, you actually need to invent the metaverse.
Yes.
Like, it actually and not just what Meta has released with their Horizon.
Well, no, it's just got to be better than being on a laptop, right? It's got to be like, I could sit down at my laptop, when I'm working from home, but actually it's way better if I chuck these things on. This is actually a way better way to interact with content. It's a way better way to interact with screens and have meetings. It's got to be way better.
No, and I just don't think it is. I mean, obviously you can whack up multiple displays and whatever, but, there's nothing there that I've seen that's like that. This is so obviously better than just having multiple.
I know we didn't intend to talk about VR and stuff, but there is a thing, right, where it's like, this is what sci-fi and everything missed out on. There is a huge gulf between being in VR and being in the real world, in that, like, the thing I feel like that was really underestimated is when you sit down at a laptop and you want to grab a drink or stand up or do anything, you just do it.
Yeah.
As soon as you put a headset on, everything in the real world becomes way harder.
Yeah.
And the way that I think that like sci-fi and stuff dealt with that is just like you forget, they don't acknowledge it. They don't acknowledge that the real world exists. As soon as you strap on, you're in there and you are no longer present in any way, shape or form. Doesn't matter if like, you need to close a window or change your air conditioning or have a sip of a drink or go to the toilet or like all the vague things that we do, readjust your pants or whatever, like, or someone, the doorbell rings or any of this shit. None of that exists. But the fact of the matter is, like, you're constantly distracted by things around you, as one should be. I think that's like a perfectly healthy way to live within the world.
You should be in the world.
You should be
in the world of the world. Yeah.
But all of those like little things make VR like annoying. It's annoying to like take it off and then put it back on again. Well, that is really annoying.
Yeah, it is. And even like the meta stuff, like they have a real sophisticated like interface where it's like it figures out what the shape of your workspace is on the floor, and like, it draws a map around like desks and tables. Yeah. So you know where you're walking and you're not going to walk into a coffee table or whatever. Yeah. And it's obviously like the amount of effort that must have been gone to making that work. And as a software development project, it must have been so fucking hard. Yeah. So frustrating to make work, and it works really well.
Yeah, well, $100 billion.
But it's still it's still based around the fact that you are in the world. Yeah. And you need like a workable space to play the games and do different software interactions without fucking face planting into your own your own living room or whatever. Yeah. But yeah, no. Again, I just come back to the fact that at least like the full VR, which is represented by the Vision Pro, which is represented by the Meta Quest, the HTC Vive. I don't know. There's a few of them. The only way you're going to make that work is that metaverse with like these generative world systems that like Google and stuff are putting together. I can see a world where it's like those become really good. And then all of a sudden, people are like, oh, the only way to experience that is a VR headset. Yeah. Like a fully immersive world. Yeah. That's the killer app. Yeah. But I think we're still a ways off that. And again, I don't know if that would compel me enough to get it. But
Well, honestly, like, I mean, I've said this before. Like, when I first got the Meta Quest 3, I thought the golf game was so sick. I thought it was like, this is fun. And I never bothered playing it again because it's just such a pain in the ass to put the damn thing on my head. Honestly, like, and find the time, find the space. You know, it's like going to the gym. You know, it's you got to.
It's an activity. It's a full-on thing.
It's a full-on thing. Anyway, there's more stuff on Apple we want to talk about.
Yep. So then the big one, and this comes back to the AI stuff. It had been reported in the past, but they are now, it seems, and this was reported at Bloomberg, a couple of other places, they're locked in on using Gemini, Google's Gemini, as their partner for Siri.
Yeah, for Siri. And I think we did mention this a few weeks ago, but it was like more speculative, or a few months ago. But yeah, now it's been the report in Bloomberg, Mark Gurman, was they were tossing up between Anthropic and Google and like Gemini. And they went with Google, and it's pretty obvious to say why. I feel like we might have even predicted this months and months and months ago, saying like they should just partner with, like, Google makes the most sense. They already have the deal with Google for the search engine deal. Google has, we did. I remember distinctly us saying this. If you're gonna all of a sudden, quote unquote, turn on AI for like 1 billion iPhone users or whatever, who has the ability to?
Yeah, totally.
Do that? It's Google. They're the only ones.
Yeah. So, I mean, the reporting of
it's white label though. You're not going to know it's Google.
Yeah, that's right. So exactly. They're even calling it internally like their own model name.
Yeah.
And it does involve some of their own models.
Yeah, it's like 2 out of 3 are actually their own
like
models.
For orchestration stuff. But anytime it needs to have world knowledge or something a bit deep, it pings to this kind of like Apple run Gemini model.
Yeah, and again, apparently it's privacy preserving. You're just not gonna know. It's not gonna integrate with like Gmail or like whatever this and the other. It's an Apple service that you don't know, but it's running Gemini.
It happens to run Gemini, and it's out like the Bloomberg report was that it was between Anthropic and Google. They got them to do like a build, and they tested it out. It's kind of interesting that OpenAI was not there.
Yeah, given that they were the first ones to.
Yeah, first and I think only still. I don't even know what you can log into on your phone these days.
It still definitely says when you ask Siri, it does say like, this is a result from ChatGPT. Like, check everything, blah, blah, blah.
But they did, obviously, again, maybe this comes down to like the Johnny Ive shit and devices that were like, we can't.
Yeah.
I think maybe this is why they're, makes you think, would they even think of Google as their major competitor now?
I don't think so.
As they did for a time because of Android and whatever. But anyway, they got Anthropic and Google to pitch essentially or do a build, and they thought Claude slightly better model for what we're trying to do, but we have the existing relationship with Google, easier to integrate.
Yeah, and now that's right. They did say better in. Here's what I took the better to mean. It was like if we like. In our rating of the answers, like the quality of the answers, they might have found Anthropic, but because like what they presumably also found better for Google was like cost.
I think
cost, speed, scalability.
Yeah, I think it was. Yeah, you're right. It was the quality of the answers. So anyway, now it's out. The report is that it's $1 billion per year,
which is not very much.
Which is not, considering the size of this Google search deal, the advertising search deal, which is what, like $30 billion.
Yeah,
a year?
At least 30.
So for $1 billion, yeah, I mean. Let's be honest.
I mean, yeah,
I'd take if someone was offering me $1 billion a year, I'd probably take it. But yeah. So it's out. Basically, story is they're still planning. I believe it was reported in Bloomberg again today that next year, 2026, they're going to release the Siri that they promised. I think like 2 years ago now. So that's pretty crazy. And the thing that got it over the line is this partnership with Gemini and Google to power the core tech.
Yeah.
Now, that does seem to suggest, to me, I read that as Apple are like, well, fuck this. We're not going to build a frontier model.
Yeah.
It's just not going to happen.
Well, they, again, in the same article, it was like, they're not abandoning their like own LLMs and internal model. It's like, yeah, but
yeah,
but so you've got a model that's way bigger than your internal one, provided by a company that is spending more than you, that has a 10-year head start, and like, what, we're not abandoning it. Like, what, one day you hope to catch up?
A 1.1 trillion parameter model from Google. Yeah, again, it's not gonna. Again, I think the takeaway from this is that Apple they've got their AI team, their machine learning team. They're gonna keep building purpose-built models for specific things, smaller models that do particular tasks that iPhone or Mac users will like.
Yeah.
But when it comes to like being at the frontier, you know, building with Anthropic, with OpenAI, with Google, with XAI even, they're like,
no.
Why are we're not, to even be competitive in that game, you need to be spending so much fucking money.
Yeah.
And they're not, like, that's no guarantee they're ever going to be competitive.
No.
And then they're going to be stuck in this fucking rat race of like, Claude 4.5 came out. Oh, now it's GPT 5.1. Oh,
yeah.
Fucking Grok Heavy 5 just came out. It's like, do they want to be sitting there and signing off on, okay, now we're going to buy 9 million more NVIDIA chips.
Yeah, exactly.
In a fucking data center in Montana.
No, well, they're quite clearly exiting that. I mean,
like,
if they were ever in it.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think they were ever in it. But now they're clearly saying, oh, fuck, we'll just partner with.
Yeah, and as Google said, like, take out 15 to 30% on the margins of the apps for all of these companies.
And Google's a great bet there. Because, like, again, I don't know, Anthropic might not exist in...
Absolutely not.
In 3 years. I mean...
As well as, like... Yeah.
I think they will, but, like, they could go bust.
Google will exist.
Google
this
will...
Is what, like, I was, like, regardless... If all of a sudden it does turn out that, like, AI is a scam... No one uses it. It's shit. It doesn't make anyone more efficient. Nothing. Google's still around.
Exactly. Google, and this is the reason.
I obviously don't believe that, but like.
Yeah.
And the flip side, if it's like AI is the next thing, and like AGI is here, Google also still probably around
and probably doing quite well.
So if you're like, I want to integrate a feature on our phones, they're the most popular phones within certain markets. So it's not the most popular phones in the world, but they're. The most profitable phone company in the world.
They are the most profitable.
Then Google is a pretty safe bet. Makes sense.
Yeah, like you're right. They have an unbelievable revenue engine in the form of ads and all the rest of it. Like,
Well, yeah, and the key disruption to the ads business, they also are one of the leading companies in. So.
Exactly.
Google will be around.
Google and Meta, pretty good bets.
What I'm saying versus like an Anthropic or even an OpenAI or whatever.
Totally.
It's like,
who are kind of like...
They're committed to like, we make revenue off, APIs and subscriptions.
Well, this is why you have... I mean, this is the other thing. Fucking Sam Altman. All the stuff this week, and this is a slight swerve, but all the stuff this week where it was like the OpenAI CFO speaking at the Wall Street Journal conference and being like, essentially saying that we're a strategically valuable asset, and essentially saying that the US government... We're too big to fail. The US government should backstop the investment for us to build data centers because we need to win against China. Everyone was like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah, I will clarify that what I think was very poorly worded.
Yes.
I feel like it was kind of like a... we did this with rare earths or whatever, and we're like the buyer of last resort. It's a price floor.
Yeah.
They were like, the government could set a price floor, and that allows you to borrow cheaper.
Yes.
Like, it allows you to access debt for cheaper because you know that at a minimum you're able to sell your product for this much, even if demand switches. But whatever. Regardless, it is still just kind of like, we are a strategic asset that's so great that the American government should... Even that, like, set a backstop for pricing on what we do,
In essence, yeah, totally. That's what they were saying, and then they had to walk it back. They did a couple of just, like, weird, humiliating posts where they were like, we don't expect the US government to stop us from failing. But again, it comes back to the fact that...
And even Sam Altman on, Tyler Cowen's podcast or whatever... When he was asked to like clarify those comments, he's like, "Yeah, don't know. We obviously don't think that we should be backstopped by the American government. Yeah, like we think it should be something more akin to energy, where there's like a price. Like everyone's like, this ain't the same thing. Like,
yeah, it's the same thing. Yeah, you are asking to become, as you said, too big to fail. But the dirty secret there is that obviously,
I mean, it's true.
Google and Meta are not going to fail overnight, but OpenAI, Anthropic, XAI, these companies that are totally... Their one product is LLMs. I mean, they're doing other stuff, but...
Pretty much.
Their product is AI, and they could feasibly fail. But obviously, if OpenAI fails, Anthropic is there, Google is there.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Although, if OpenAI fail, that is 1.4 trillion in forward investments that all of a sudden evaporate.
Yeah,
So
to be clear...
that could have some problems.
To be clear, if
that could have some cascading effects.
If OpenAI fails, that you could be looking at a great financial crisis type situation. But I'm just saying for the progress of AI models.
Let's wrap it up. Apple, we had some more Apple things to talk about. They got another banger on Apple TV, apparently.
Yes, they do. Pluribus, which I watched until...
Pluribus.
Pluribus.
That sounds like a Psytrance DJ.
It does, yeah. Again, I think it just comes back... And I think it's a great show. It's from Vince Gilligan, who's the guy who made Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul. It's like a sci-fi show. Very, very... lush production values. First 2 episodes are great. Again, I think it's really interesting that Apple TV seem to they've had multiple hits now.
Yeah,
they are churning out TV hits. Severance was a big thing. There's a few other ones that have done really well, and they're just leaning heavily into small amount of content. Obviously, their ultimate goal is we want everyone who's in the Apple ecosystem to sign up for, people out of it as well, to sign up for Apple TV Plus, or sign up for Apple Plus, get Apple TV as part of that, and not churn out because we're producing just enough very high quality HBO style content to keep you on the hook for this $20 a month subscription or whatever.
Yeah. And while you're there, may as well have Apple Music and...
Totally. I just think it's an interesting model because now they are putting out reliably, and I've said this on the show before, but Netflix has all their shows. I'm not going to say they all look the same, but they all have a streaming kind of feel to them. They have a Netflix sheen. I feel like when I see a show, I can fucking tell that it's on Netflix. It fucking feels like it. Apple TV, I think maybe you can still feel it a bit, but it's got it feels expensive. There feels like there's expensive sets, expensive shows. They don't make that many of them. They hired up a whole bunch of senior creative talent from across the TV and movie industry when they originally launched, and they built it up. It's been around for 6 or 7 years now. Apple TV. They just rebranded as well. No Plus.
That's right. Yeah.
Got rid of the Plus, and they added a new jingle, which was...
I haven't heard this. This is my shit.
It's by fucking Billie Eilish's brother.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Phineas. So you get the Sydney kind of press button traffic crosses again?
So there's a new weird multicolored Apple TV opener thing. And they've taken away the Plus.
I'll definitely check that out.
And it's got literally just a sound. And it's from fucking Phineas. Billie Eilish's brother. Again, I guess it's just...
The whole thing, though, with Apple TV, though, is we just talked about in the last 12 months... revenue from other people's generative AI apps, increasing by whatever $90 billion, and them taking, it's probably $22 billion or something from that. We know the Google search deal is worth north of $30 billion because the last time we heard was a few years ago was $30 billion. So let's call it 40.
Yep.
How much money
is Apple TV bringing in? No, it'd be fractional.
And both of those things we just mentioned are 98% net profit.
Totally. But again, it also comes down to the fact that it's Apple must think, and it's not balance sheet terms, but when there's a show like Pluribus, which is out now, which is building up hype, it's become a cultural touchstone. They must think about it in those terms as well, where it's there's a big fat Apple logo at the start of something that has cultural cachet.
Yeah.
And
it's
built
all part
right
of that.
in. And they must and obviously they are, they would be among the more culturally literate tech companies who have always been plugged into that kind of world.
Yeah, I love this shit. It's brand building. It increases NPS, which decreases churn, and on that scale, that's a few billion.
They must know it because fucking Tim Cook gets up at presentations now and always does a Apple TV section or whatever, where they're we are a Hollywood
but
brand.
that's part of the services narrative thing.
No, totally. But anyway, I just think I think
the point is they're making good stuff.
The point exactly,
and that's hard to do.
There's a content flywheel they're doing, and and like there's quality that's kind of consistent enough that people could say, even though they only put out whatever it is, I don't know, it's certainly fractional of what Amazon Prime Video and Netflix and Paramount and all the rest of them put out. Small number of shows, high quality. They really lent into that strategy from day dot, and I think it is kind of paying off for them.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's relatively impressive that they managed to pull that off. I reckon.
It sounds like, as you say, it always, as someone I have not seen any of this shit.
No, totally.
It does seem like people are always talking about some Apple TV show.
Yeah.
Which, given that, still whatever, more than 50% of phone owners aren't in the Apple's ecosystem.
Yeah.
Would have some sheen there, as well as like the anti-churn stuff. While like there's interesting stuff happening on the other side of the fence, you're less likely to churn if you have like, you can signal that you're also someone who's like engaged with like the latest cool thing because it's part of Apple. So good for them. We're going to quickly touch on very interesting the rumors of seems likely to happen. A new laptop, like it's like a MacBook Air, but with a phone, one of the chips that's in the phone. So an even cheaper version of a MacBook Air.
Yeah.
Now we discussed, again, I feel like it was like a bit more than a year ago, rumors about Apple wanting to make a cheaper laptop to get into the schools market because Google has completely dominated there with Chromebooks.
Yep.
Every kid in schools is given a Chromebook until they grow up in Google Docs. Genius move. Google Docs, Google Sheets, whatever, the whole Google ecosystem, they're basically is thrust upon them. I think from like year 3 in Sydney, in New South Wales, sorry. You're in like a Google workspace and all this kind of stuff. Again, I think we reported, as in someone else reported, but we reported on this podcast to you, that Apple was planning a low budget, like a lower budget computer in order to get into like that same market. So that
totally.
kids are being given
at
max at school, and it seems like this is what it is. It's going to have a phone chip in it.
Yeah, which is interesting because again, it's hard to remember that the MacBook Air killed netbooks.
Yeah,
it was one of the reasons that and Chromebooks as well helped. But like there was a period where like netbooks were big, where it was like tiny little fucking laptops with like insanely underpowered chips that were like unusable.
Yeah.
Like none of them fucking did anything. And MacBook Air there was the Chromebooks obviously, but MacBook Air swept in and was like, here's a computer, it's a little bit more expensive, but it's very light.
But it was like, even then, it was like $1,000 or whatever it was.
Totally. It's very light, and especially when they put the solid state hard drive in it, the SSD, it was like, this is actually... I remember it was like a revelation when I used
same
an
thing,
SSD MacBook Air.
But also, when I picked it up, and I was like, this thing is so thin.
Yeah.
Like, I remember the thin edge. The thin edge, I was like, how'd they make the thing so thin? Again, they're so good at doing that.
They love doing that stuff. But like, it was also the fact that, it was the first computer I had that had an SSD in it. And it's like, that was a big moment when you realize like, oh, the hard drive is the bottleneck for computer performance. Like, you can get away with having an underpowered chip, an underpowered processor, no graphics chip to speak of.
Yeah, but waiting for a disk to start spinning up.
But if you've got a fast drive, it's fucking lightning speed.
Yeah.
And then obviously now, like, Ultrabooks were like the PC version of like basically MacBook Airs. They became big. It seems like it's a combination of this plus the Tim Cookie mindset, where it's like, let's put some older shit into like a cheaper housing, and then we'll sell cheaper iPhones, cheaper whatever. It's they're getting...
as well as the MacBook Air is kind of crept up in price. It's like it's much more expensive now.
Totally.
Like,
and again, it's always weird when Apple tries to play in the budget space because it's not their natural zone.
Yeah.
If you're someone who is very, very price conscious, you're just not buying an Apple product.
No.
I just don't think it's even front of mind for you. You're buying a shitty Dell. You're buying an Android phone, like an entry-level Android phone or whatever.
Yeah.
You're just not even really thinking, unless you're, there are definitely...
Well, no, exactly. If you're price conscious and you're shopping around, the MacBook Air is going to be just so far out of budget when you're comparing.
Yeah, totally. So it's always interesting when they try to drag themselves in because they also have to maintain we're a luxury prestige brand.
Well, and it still has to feel luxury to a certain extent, like even the cheapest version, for sure. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see what this looks like. I assume I can see it. Like if they can get it back down to like under $1,000.
Yep.
In Australia, that is. Like in US, I still think the basic MacBook Air in the US is $999. I think they. But obviously, here it's not. Yeah, see how it goes. Yeah, as you say, it is always interesting when they play in that space. Tim Cook doctrine, sure.
Yep, totally. Anyway,
plus the phone chips are pretty mad.
They're insanely overpowered for anything I've done on my phone.
Yeah.
I've never been at a point. I've never had an experience where I'm like, my phone is not powerful enough.
No, the opposite. Like I've never been like, damn, the processor is slow.
No, maybe if you're someone who's always playing 3D games on your phone, playing fucking Resident Evil on your phone, maybe it comes up. But like,
yeah. I mean, so this is what I was going to say. The M1 MacBook Air is still my favorite laptop of all time, or computer of all time.
Yeah.
Because I think that was one of the first M1s that dropped, and I bought one. I bought this M1 MacBook Air, and that for me was like
it was a
new experience.
That was
when you opened the lid and it was just on the desktop.
Yeah,
there was no screen flicking. Everything was instant, and I was like, holy shit! And I had a MacBook Pro 15-inch or whatever it is at the time as well. And which was an Intel MacBook Pro, and this tiny MacBook Air that was cheaper just destroyed it.
Yeah.
It was so fast, so slick, so beautiful. The screen was beautiful.
Again, when you talk about the various things Apple have done well at, or like stumbled at, or not done so well at, the transition from Intel Mac chips to the M1, like PCs have still not really caught up to what they did when they pulled that off.
Yeah.
I mean, like I have my desktop computer at home is a Mac Studio M1, not the Max. I can't remember what they call it. It's like
you got the Max and the Ultra. So Max
it was Max. It was Max. So it's not the Ultra, and that's still so good.
Totally.
There's absolutely no reason I have to upgrade. It was an expensive computer. It was like $4,000 or something, and I bought it probably 4 years ago, maybe.
No, their chips are killer. We've said this. They just the M5 that's just come out recently is also once again killer. And again, I think it's the fastest single core performance out of any non-overclocked chip in the world, and it's in a laptop. And
also apparently like the Mac Studio. I mean, they say that if you want to run local AI models,
it is because so Nvidia released the GTX, RTX, I've forgotten the name of it, their own something X that was supposed to be like you can run models at home on a thing that basically looked like the Mac Studio.
That's right.
But I've seen, and it was supposed to be like, because it's Nvidia, it's going to be better. But like the reported specs, when you actually try and run it, it's about 30% of like what its reported was, and the Studio still beats it.
Yeah. The vibe is if you want to run. If you're someone who's dead set on running fucking
local models for whatever reason,
local Chinese open source models,
your
best the best machine you can get is a Mac Studio like M3 Ultra or whatever, and then have it with like 128 gigabytes of unified memory, and that's just the best way to run it. But again, that's not what I do. I'm not a pervert.
No, I'm not.
In fact, I feel like if you are doing that, you probably are doing it for perverted reasons.
Well, yeah. I mean, or you've got like some serious philosophies.
You're totally. You're either really locked in on some high-minded libertarian philosophy, or, and there's a bit of a Venn diagram crossover, I think here. You are generating a shitload of hentai. Anyway. Folks, we've been talking for Apple for too long.
I know, we always do.
We've gone over the top. Anyway, this is your hard paywall. We're going to talk about NEOM and Saudi Arabia and all the tech stuff that's going on over in that part of the world.
Yep.
So if you would like to hear us keep talking, and I know you do, head to downround.net. Sign up for Downround Premium. You get an extra episode, every single week. So not just one episode, but two. That's crazy. Imagine how much alpha and value is in that second episode.